Hey there, this is Niels Beardfoot, and today we are making some Viking leather greaves. As always, we start with the pattern, print it out in a size that is fitting for you, cut away the edges, tape it together and cut it out in detail. For the leather I use 3.5mm thick wedge tanned leather, which is around 9 ounce. Trace the pattern on the leather and cut it out in detail. Moisten it under the tap or with a sponge from both sides completely and let it set for a few minutes. While drying, transfer all the lines from the pattern on the leather. When the leather is mostly dry but still cool on the touch, we can start with our swivel knife to cut in all the lines in the leather. I like to start with the beveler to get in some nice 3D-like impressions on all the cut lines. With a little bit of a grizzly stamp, I get in some details on all the metal pieces in this artwork. On the arms and shoulders I use another stamp to get in more texture. For the beard I use a stylus to get in some fine lines. For the parallel lines along the edge I use a groove cutter in reverse. I measure the distance on the pattern and transfer it on all the edges. For the background on the dwarf I try to target a rock shape style here. Along the edge I use a border stamp tool with some knotwork on it. And to rough the base up a little bit, I use a natural stone to get in some texture, and with the swivel knife I get some battle marks in. I also use some rune stamps, but you also could put these runes in with the swivel knife. Here you can see the other greaves. It's a kind of similar style, but with another theme. So it's now time to get on some dye. I use an airbrush, but you also can use simply a sponge or a brush. When you're finished with your paint job, you want to put on a coat of resist to protect the leather and prepare it for antique gel. I also like to use the dried resist as a sealing to put on another coat of dye along the edge and tap away some of it so I get a nice texture. Then you can put on a coat of antique gel, which will give your piece a lot more depth. You put it on and just wipe away all the excess. Another coat of resist to secure the antique gel on the leather. When you also put antique gel on the edges, you can use the moisture to burnish them. If not done already, you want to mark all the holes for the edge weaving, punch those and start weaving. The weaving technique I use here and most of my other projects is fairly simple. You pull your lace almost all the way through the first hole, then go through the second hole and create a loop. Then you go from left to right through that loop and close the first loop and then the second. So once again, go through the hole, create a loop, go through the loop from left to right, and close the first loop and then the second. On the corners you can use the same hole twice. When you got all the way through, to secure the end, you want to lift up some of the weavings on the backside and then use a small clamp to pull through the lace. If you do that through multiple layers, it will be secure. To form your pieces, wet them from the flesh side and then bring them into their desired shape. Punch the holes for the rivets on the top piece. Position it on the base and secure it with clamps. And then through the holes of the top piece, mark where to punch the holes on the base piece and also the edge. There you want to rough up the leather and punch a few holes for orientation of both pieces. Put contact cement on both areas and let it set for a few minutes. When putting both pieces together now, use the punched holes and some rivets in it as orientation and that you are really got the correct position. When the position is correct, you can press it together and hammer it down. Then you can punch the remaining holes and set the rivets. For the smaller decoration pieces, you want to punch the holes for the loops first and set those, else you might run into trouble placing the loops. And then you can do the very same technique as with the big top piece. Put them in position, mark the edges and hole, rough up the leather, put on some contact cement, let it dry, press it together, hammer it down and set the rivets. Cut away any excess leather along the edge, sandpaper it, bevel it, re-dye it and burnish it. And as last step, weave in some strap or string. I use a rubber band on the backside to attach it to your leg. And that's it. You're done. I hope you liked it. Check out my other videos, all my patterns in my shop. Hope you had a lot of fun. Leave a like, leave a comment and see you guys next time. Ciao!